Hey guys, it's Christy with Christy's Custom Creations, and today I want to show everyone how I made this absolutely beautiful glitter pencil tumbler using BJ's glitter. So we just had Teacher Appreciation Week, and also we've got the end of the school year coming up, so right now these pencil tumblers and also the pencil pens are a very hot item. So I have a white spray painted 20 ounce skinny tumbler, and I just drew out some lines here on it with a pink highlighter. I used the light pink highlighter because it did not show at all under the glitter, and I traced them out to kind of mark off where I want my glitter lines to be. And then I Googled and found a chevron pattern on Google. I put that into my silhouette program and I traced the chevron pattern with my silhouette program, and from there I was able to get this little design here. You see that I cut out with vinyl and blue, and I measured around the bottom of my cup and I just set the length to that size, and as you can see, it did not line up right at first. I didn't have it sitting even, so I just pulled it back off. It's vinyl, so it's not a big deal to pull it off and stick it back on. It's not staying on there long term or anything like that, so I pulled it off and stuck it right back on, and it's basically just a stencil for the glitter and the glue that we're going to be using to create this tumbler. Now, while I'm getting this chevron pattern lined up, I want to kind of explain what I did with the pink highlighter. So I took a pink highlighter and I actually just stuck it on like a glitter bottle or something that was right about the right height that I wanted, and I just spun my cup around, and as you can see, the lines are really light pink, but it's enough for me to see, but not too much to show underneath the glitter. So I've got some tape here. You can just use some regular old painter's tape. The blue tape works well. I got this stuff at a swap meet in Georgia a while back. It's actually tape for like taping off a car, so it's perfect for doing this kind of thing. It's pretty much the same thing as painter's tape though, but I bought a lot of it, so this is what I usually use whenever I'm taping off tumblers. So I'm going to go ahead and tape off this bottom section, and I'm going to follow that light pink line that I drew, and it's going to be the black glitter that it's basically going to represent the lead of a pencil. And you always want to start with your darkest colors first, because you don't want your colors to cross over each other. So basically, like, I don't want to put the yellow down and then put black on, and then I'm gonna have black spots all in my yellow glitter. So I've just got some glitter here from BJ's glitter. It's called the Perfect Black, and y'all, let me tell y'all, it is the perfect black. It actually sparkles under epoxy. So it is the perfect black. It's gorgeous under epoxy, and I've got some Mod Podge, and here I just have a foam craft brush. Later on in the video, you will see me move to an actual like smaller paintbrush that I like better when I'm working with finer lines, but for this part, just the foam brush is just perfectly fine. Even later on you could use the foam brush, but you just paint on the Mod Podge. You want a decent layer, but you want it to be even on the cup because you don't want it lumpy or bumpy underneath the glitter. You want it to be nice and smooth. You got to work a little bit quickly with this first layer of Mod Podge because it will try to dry fairly quickly on you. So now that I've got some good coverage with my Mod Podge, I'm going to just take the top of my shaker bottle off and just freely sprinkle this black glitter all over the bottom section that I just painted the glue on. And as you can see, you can still see the white through it. Not a big deal. I'm going to do a couple little touch-up spots, and then I'm actually going to, once it's all dry, I'm going to put a second coat of glitter over the first coat. So this whole cup is actually going to have 2 coats of glitter on it. But as you can see, I just took a tiny little bit of Mod Podge, dabbed it on there, and sprinkled my black glitter on there, just kind of covering up that little spot that I apparently missed. So, and I do want to mention, y'all, I meant to have this video out like a week ago, but I completely lost my voice. I was so sick, and I'm finally, after a week and a half, to the point where I don't sound like a frog when I talk. So I'm still raspy, my throat's still hurting, but I sound a whole lot better than I did. So for this next part, I'm going to go ahead and tape off my next line. And this part that I'm going to be doing is going to be the silver part, the metal part of the tumbler. So, or of the pencil. So I'm going to just follow my light pink line that I drew around. And like I said, you can make these lines super nice and even. If you just take something that's right about the height that you need. I like to take like a glitter shaker bottle or something along those lines, or if I need it a little bit shorter, I may grab my cell phone. And when I have an item that is the right height for where I want my line on the tumbler, I just laid my highlighter down on that item and had the tip of the highlighter touching my tumbler, and I just spun the tumbler, kind of how you see me spinning the tumbler while I tape it. I did the same thing, and I kept the highlighter in one solid spot, and I just spun the cup around, and it made a perfect line around the cup. So I've got the bottom part of the metal for the silver area for the tumbler here taped off, and so I'm going to go ahead and tape off this next part here, and I'm basically going to tape off where the eraser would be on this tumbler. And I'm just going to wrap the tape around, keeping it nice and even and following my nice straight line that I created with my highlighter. So after getting everything taped off, I decided I did not like my spacing around the silver part and the pink part where the eraser and the metal is. So I pulled the tape off, no big deal. It's part of doing this. You kind of got to figure out your spacing, and pull my tape off, and I'm just trying to find a few items to help mark the height of where I want it to be. And as you can see, I'm just using a few tumbler lids and stacking them up until I get the right height that I want my spacing to be for my eraser and the metal part on my tumbler here. So I've just got my highlighter touching the tumbler, and I'm just going to spin it around, and it's going to create a nice perfect line around my tumbler as it goes. And as you can see, it took me a couple tries to get my line at the right height that I wanted. I wanted it to look proportionate. I didn't want it to look funny, and so I tried it a couple of times, and once I finally got the height that I liked, I went ahead and taped it off. So like I said, you can use just random items, tumbler lids, glitter shakers, a cell phone if you need to, but now that I have my height where I want it, I'm going to just tape it off just like you saw me tape it before. And y'all, this is a long video, but there really is a lot of steps in here, and I did not want to edit out the parts that I didn't like. So obviously, you know, you see so many videos where it's so easy to make this tumbler, and then you try to make the tumbler and it's actually really hard. Well, I mean, yeah, there's some editing that goes into making these videos sometimes, and we all make mistakes, or we all change things, or we see things that we don't like, so we want to change it up. And that's what I did here. I did not like my spacing, so I pulled it off and I changed it up. So I did not want to leave that part out. Plus I wanted to show y'all how I drew my line around the tumbler. So now I'm just going to take my Mod Podge and do the same thing I did down on the black area, and this is where my silver glitter is going to go, and I'm just going to get a really good layer around this space here. And as you can tell, I'm trying to keep the Mod Podge off of the tape as much as possible, just to prevent it from peeling up when I pull the tape up here in just a little while, because as you know, sometimes it'll pull it up. So now I'm using, it's called Cadillac Chrome. It's from BJ's Glitter, and I'm just going to sprinkle it all over that area that I just Mod Podged. And look at my tape here. As you can see, I did not get a whole lot of Mod Podge on the tape. And as I was explaining just a minute ago, I was very careful not to get a whole lot on there, because when you go to peel the tape later on down the road, it can actually kind of pull your glitter up some if you get it on there too much. So I went ahead, and the black part here is dry. So I put a little bit of Mod Podge into a medicine cup. I don't want to dirty up my big container of Mod Podge with black glitter because this glitter is not sealed in or anything, so it will get all over my paintbrush. If I was to dip it back into my large Mod Podge container, I would have little specks of black glitter all in it. So I just stuck a little bit into a medicine cup, and I am just kind of dabbing it on, getting really good coverage. I try not to brush it on until I get it dabbed on everywhere. And I just find that by doing that, I get really good coverage with the Mod Podge, and I get a nice coat on there that's not too thin and it's not too thick. It works well for me. That's how I've always applied my Mod Podge over glitter. So I dab it on and then I brush it down smooth. And I'm still, you know, taking care not to get too much Mod Podge on that tape there. So once I get a good coat on there and I get it nice and smooth so that I don't have a bunch of lines or anything like that, I put my second coat of the perfect black glitter over the Mod Podge. All right, so now I'm just tapping off any excess glitter and it's time to pull the tape. So as I pull the tape, I'm going to pull the tape away from the glitter. So see how I'm pulling it at an angle? It just helps anywhere where that glue and glitter had overlapped onto the tape. It helps keep it from the tape basically pulling it up. So, and I'm also dusting off any black glitter that has kind of just strayed on the tumbler because I don't want it mixing. Now I'm going to do the exact same thing I just did with the black over the silver again, and I'm just going to dab it on as I go around the tumbler and on this silver area that's taped off, and I'm going to try to keep it off the tape somewhat and just make my way around this silver glittered area. Once I get good coverage with my Mod Podge, I just brush it down nice and smooth so that I don't have any weird lines or grooves underneath my glitter. All right, and now I'm going to go back in again with the silver Cadillac Chrome. And y'all, the name for this glitter is perfect. Like I said, it's called Cadillac Chrome, and this glitter is absolutely stunning. It is a fine holographic silver glitter, and this glitter sparkles so beautifully under epoxy and just in general. I mean, it is one of my favorite glitters from BJ's. It's so simple. It's just a fine metallic silver, but it is beautiful. So now that I've got that glittered, I'm going to go ahead and pull the tape while that second layer of Mod Podge is still wet. And as you can see, I'm pulling away from the glitter in the Mod Podge area so that it doesn't pull up any of that glitter or Mod Podge with it. So I've pulled that line there. I'm going to now pull the other tape line here, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to pull away from it at an angle as it goes around the cup, pulling up from the cup. So now I am just dusting off any little bit of loose glitter, and I'm going to let this Mod Podge completely dry. Once that Mod Podge has completely dried, I'm going to go in with some Rust-Oleum 2X Clear. I like to use gloss. You can use matte if you want, or if you can't find it in gloss, you can definitely use matte. And I just gave the cup a really good spray down, focusing on the black and the silver glitter, because I don't want the black or the silver crossing over into my other colors, and I don't want my other colors crossing over into the black or the silver area. So just definitely want to keep those colors separated, and that Rust-Oleum 2X Clear helps do that. So now I've got Mod Podge again, and I now have a paintbrush. This is a paintbrush that I literally use for everything. That's why it's kind of crazy colored, because I've used it for multiple different stuff, but this is my go-to paintbrush. I love it. I think I bought it at Hobby Lobby like probably 7 or 8 years ago. It seems like an eternity ago, but I just get a really good coat, and I'm going to use this pink color called Bubblegum, also from BJ's Glitter, and I'm just going to sprinkle it around the top of the tumbler where I just put down the Mod Podge, and I'm basically creating the pencil eraser on this tumbler. So now it is time to move on to this wooden looking area, and I'm going to take very special care, and I'm going to line my paintbrush up right there along the edge of that black glitter line. I kind of got off camera for a minute because I was trying really hard to focus and not get any of my Mod Podge on the black glitter. So that's why I like using, for this part, an actual paintbrush that has a nice flat, I don't really know what to call it, but it's nice and flat on the end. And so I get a nice line out of it, and I just put the Mod Podge on. Like I said, try to keep off of that vinyl stencil that we've created with the chevron pattern, and get a good layer of Mod Podge on here. And just try to get it as smooth as you can so we don't have any weird lines or lumps or bumps from the Mod Podge, and smooth it out. Once we have the Mod Podge on there, we will put our glitter on it. So the glitter that I'm using here is called Champagne, and of course it is from BJ's Glitter, and I'm just going to freely sprinkle it onto the tumbler here in the area where I just laid down the Mod Podge, and trying to keep it off the black as much as possible. We sealed it with the Rust-Oleum 2X, so it's not a big deal to get a little bit of the glitter over the black because it will just brush off later. So I have let the Mod Podge completely dry, and I'm going to go back in on both the pink area and the gold area with a second coat of Mod Podge and a second coat of glitter. And as you can see, I'm just doing the same thing that I did earlier while applying it, and I'm just paying very close attention to the line but where the silver starts, because I don't want to get any Mod Podge on the silver, because if I do, I'm going to have pink glitter over my silver glitter, and I just won't have that nice crisp line. So pay extra careful attention while you are putting the Mod Podge on there, and once you get that fully Mod Podged, it will be time for that second coat of glitter. As you can see, now that I've got good coverage with the Mod Podge, I'm just going in and smoothing it out all the way around this pink area, the eraser part of this tumbler, because I don't want weird lines underneath my Mod Podge. Very important when working with Mod Podge. It's one of the reasons I hate working with Mod Podge, because you have to have it super smooth or else you can end up with some weird lines. So I'm just going to freely sprinkle my second coat of this beautiful pink bubblegum glitter, which makes the perfect pencil eraser. So there you have it. So I'm now going to go back in with my second coat of Mod Podge over the gold glitter here, which represents the wood of the pencil. And I'm doing the same thing that you saw me do earlier, paying very close attention and taking a lot of care where the gold lines up with the black, being very careful not to get any Mod Podge on the black glitter at all. I'm just going to work my way around, get it all over this gold glitter really well, smooth it down, and then I will put my glitter over that as well. So now I'm going to go back in with my second coat of glitter, the champagne color from BJ's Glitter, and just getting really good coverage. I'm going to sprinkle it freely over that area, tap off any excess glitter that's trying to hang out, and then I've got to find my starting point for my vinyl pattern that I've put down, this chevron pattern. So it took me just a second to find it, but once I found it, it pulled up super easy. So I just pull, and as I did with the tape, you want to pull away from the glitter and the Mod Podge, because you don't want to pull up any of the glitter and Mod Podge with it as it goes. Okay, so I apparently completely forgot to record this next step, but I let the Mod Podge from the eraser area and the wooden area, so basically the pink and the gold glitter, I let that completely dry, and then I went back in again with the Rust-Oleum 2X clear spray paint, and I gave it a really good coating just to keep all of my glitter in place. And once that was completely dry, it was time to go in with my Mod Podge for my second layer of glitter. And as you can see here, I am again using my paintbrush because it is easier to get these fine lines right here around the wooden area of the pencil, or the gold glitter. So I am just being very careful around that area not to get any Mod Podge on the gold glitter. And then same thing with the silver side, I'm being very careful not to get any Mod Podge over that silver glitter either, because I don't want any of my yellow glitter for my pencil, which this glitter here is called Yellow Brick Road, but I don't want it getting onto the other colors. But let's talk about this Yellow Brick Road for a minute, y'all. This yellow glitter is absolutely gorgeous. It is a brand new glitter that was just released by BJ's Glitter, and it is so pretty. I actually missed the little spot apparently, or the Mod Podge dried too quickly, so I just went in with a little dab of Mod Podge and just kind of touched it up a little bit right there, no big deal, and then just sprinkled more glitter over it. But we are going to do a second coat of glitter over this yellow as well, so it's really no big deal. I could have just waited, but I'm impatient. I wanted to see how pretty it was going to be. So just shake off any excess glitter, let it completely dry. Once that first layer of Mod Podge and yellow glitter is dry, it's time to go in with the second coat of Mod Podge. And as you can see here, I'm going to do the exact same thing that you have seen me do over and over again in this video. I'm just going to take extreme caution right there around my gold glitter line, and then also around my silver glitter line, and I'm going to get a really nice coat of Mod Podge on here. And I realized I was starting to get too much yellow glitter onto my paintbrush, and then I was trying to dip it into my big Mod Podge container, so I just transferred a little bit into another little medicine cup, because don't want to contaminate my Mod Podge, my large Mod Podge container, with glitter, because I don't want it getting into any of my other colors on future projects or anything like that. So just take extreme caution. Apparently I can't talk today. Take extreme caution while working around those other glitter lines, just keeping your lines nice and straight and clean, and get a good coat. And then after that, you will put your second coat of glitter over the second coat of Mod Podge. Now that I have a good coat of Mod Podge on here and it's nice and smooth, I'm going to go back in with my Yellow Brick Road glitter from BJ's Glitter, and I'm going to get a good coat of glitter all over the yellow portion of this tumbler here. And just make sure you get really good coverage, kind of shake it off a little bit, get off any excess glitter that's kind of just hanging out, and there you have it. So once all of this is dry, I gave it one good final spray in coat with the Rust-Oleum 2X clear spray paint, and I just took a paintbrush here and I'm dusting off any glitter that is trying to hang out in the other colors, because I don't like where my yellow glitter may have tried to settle onto my silver or my gold or my black or my pink. I'm just dusting off any of the glitter that is basically sitting on there because I want my lines nice and pretty. I don't want my colors on top of each other. Okay, so I let the Mod Podge completely dry. The Mod Podge, the Rust-Oleum 2X, all of that I let completely dry. I probably let it dry for probably about 4 hours because I had some other stuff going on and I wanted to make sure it was good and dry. So, y'all, I am using the brand new epoxy called Swiftpoxy, and it is by Tumblerpoxy epoxy. And let me tell you about Swiftpoxy really quick. So I have moved my Swiftpoxy into these honey bottles, and I use the honey bottles because they are the only bottles that I have found that I can put my epoxy in that don't leak. I've used them for the longest time on my normal Tumblerpoxy and other epoxies that I use from time to time, and they do not leak at all. So this Swiftpoxy, you can handle this epoxy on the cup after like 3 to 5 hours. It's gonna depend on how warm your working area is. I can actually handle my cup after 3 hours because the room that I work in is pretty warm. It's upstairs, and I don't keep the AC on up here because in my craft room, just because I like working in a warmer environment with my epoxy. So with my Swiftpoxy epoxy, I measured out 20 mLs and I did equal parts. So I did 10 mLs of part A and 10 mLs of part B, and I mixed it for a full 5 minutes. Now your working time with this Swiftpoxy is much less than Tumblerpoxy epoxy because it is a fast drying epoxy. So when you're using it, I would recommend only using it one tumbler at a time because it is going to start drying on you really quickly. So as you can see, I mixed it for 5 minutes. I mixed it really good for 5 minutes. I mean, I scraped the bottom, I scraped the sides, I scraped it off the popsicle stick, I stirred it in some more. So it was a good solid 5 minutes of mixing, but I was able to add my next coat of epoxy after only 3 hours. So it really speeds up the process. And this is really hard for me to say. I actually think that the smoothness and shine from this Swiftpoxy might even be just a little bit better than Tumblerpoxy. And that's hard for me to say because y'all know I am a huge Tumblerpoxy fan, but this new epoxy is amazing. And I put it on the exact same way that I do the Tumblerpoxy. I put it on, get good coverage. I start with one finger on the bottom of the cup, swipe up the cup until I work my way all the way around, smoothing the epoxy out. And then I take my blowtorch here and I torch it all the way around the cup. And I want to note that I get my blowtorch. I got it from Amazon, and I will have that link down in the description box below. So this is my second coat of Swiftpoxy epoxy. It's only been 3 hours and I'm putting the second coat on now. So I'm putting my glove on, wearing my PPE, and a lot of people are very particular on smell. I know I'm talking a lot about Swiftpoxy right now, but I'm so excited about it. They just had a pre-sale on it, and it will be released within the next couple of weeks. We should start getting our shipments of Swiftpoxy. But Tumblerpoxy, Beth and Paul from Tumblerpoxy were so incredibly amazing and asked me to give this Swiftpoxy a try, and I cannot even begin to tell y'all how incredibly honored I was that they asked me to give this new product of theirs a try before they were ready to release it to the public, because they wanted to make sure that they weren't biased and that they got, you know, some outsiders' opinions. And I mean, I love it. It smooths out so good, y'all. I really love it. As you can see, I got good coverage on the whole cup, and I just take the one finger, I start at the bottom, and I move up the cup as it spins, smoothing the epoxy down. Like I said, you do have to work kind of quick with it. Also, this Swiftpoxy is non-yellowing, so it is a fast set epoxy, a fast drying epoxy that's not going to turn yellow on you. So I am beyond impressed with this product. Y'all check it out. They will be releasing it, like I said, within the next couple of weeks. They will have it shipped out from their pre-shipment, but I'm sold on it. I am definitely sold on it, and I am so happy and grateful to have found such an easy epoxy. And look at the shine. Like, I didn't know it was possible to have an even prettier shine than Tumblerpoxy, but I'm pretty sure Swiftpoxy may have Tumblerpoxy beat. And don't get me wrong, I loved my Tumblerpoxy. I love it, and I will forever be a Tumblerpoxy fan, especially when I need a longer working epoxy. But just for something, you know, real quick where I'm trying to knock a cup out quickly, Swiftpoxy is perfect. So we'll get off that Swiftpoxy tangent that I've been on, and let's get to sanding this tumbler. So I have got 220 grit sandpaper. I buy it by the roll. I buy it on Amazon, and it's got a sticky back to it, so it makes it really easy for sanding my cups. Like I said, I buy it on Amazon, so I will have that link down in the description box below, but it's a 220 grit sandpaper, and I'm mainly focusing on the rim and then just a little bit down on the bottom. This Swiftpoxy has this cup so incredibly smooth that I really didn't have to hardly do any sanding right in the middle area. Actually, looking back at this video, I didn't do any sanding in the middle at all. I only sanded around the edge and the bottom. So this cup was in order for someone, and Miss Brooks apparently, and so I am now putting the name on here, and I cut the name with my Silhouette Cameo 4, and I just cut it in black vinyl. The black looked good with the pencil because, I mean, black pretty much goes with everything. So found a cute font, put it on there, and I've got my little squeegee tool that I use to apply my vinyl. It's got a kind of like a felt tip to it, so it doesn't scratch my vinyl. I will link that down in the description box below as well. And y'all, look how pretty this is. So now that this cup is sanded, it's almost forgot to mention, after I sanded it, I washed it in the sink with some Dawn dish soap because I wanted to remove any little particles left from the sanding, also anything that may try to hang out on there. So now I have got my Swiftpoxy epoxy for my third and final coat. This is going to be my final coat, and the cool thing about the Swiftpoxy is it can be your final coat of epoxy. You still want to wait the 72-hour cure time before you let your customer have their order. Just, you know, you want to keep everybody safe, so wear PPE with it. But I mean, gosh, it dries so fast and it is so beautiful. If you don't believe me, look at the video. The video speaks for itself. So it's just an awesome product. But okay, enough ranting about that. I know I said that earlier, but I'm sold on this product, y'all. So anyways, I'm going to apply this Swiftpoxy epoxy like I do every epoxy, get really good coverage on the cup, and then once I get good coverage, I'll start at the bottom, swipe up as the cup spins, and then after that, I will hit it with my blowtorch. So I want to take a moment and say thank you to all my awesome Patreon members. We have a lot of fun in there, and I actually made a huge announcement to all my Patreon members last week, and I cannot wait to share it with everybody. So y'all, keep an eye out for a super awesome announcement coming up within the next few weeks. Something I am super excited about, and like I said, my Patreon group knows about it. So if you want in on the secret, be sure to check out my Patreon group. I've got it linked down in the description box below. We have a lot of fun in there. I do a lot of giveaways and stuff like that. So this is the final product of the pencil tumbler, and I think it turned out absolutely beautiful. Also, as I said just a minute ago, huge thank you to all my awesome Patreon members. Here is everybody. They are an awesome crew. I love to craft with them, and as always, I hope everyone has a great day. Be sure to hit the like and subscribe button, and y'all take care. Bye.